Millionaire explorer Victor Vescovo has spent the last 4 years preparing and planning to make exploration history.
I've been doing some somewhat risky things all my life. Coming up with a mission that's never been done before, that's extremely exciting, that's difficult, and seeing it through to its conclusion.
Victor has set himself the goal of being the first person to head to all 5 of the Earth's oceans, find their deepest points, and explore their hidden secrets. So far, he has completed 2 of the 5. Overcoming storms in the Atlantic to find new species.
At bottom!
And braving freezing waters to triumph in the Southern Ocean.
Great job.
All right, Victor!
Their 3rd deep dive is in the Indian Ocean. This is the youngest of the oceans. It's also the warmest, with an average surface temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Beneath the waves, the seafloor is one of the most geologically volatile areas in the world. A landscape of unpredictable faults, fractures, and earthquakes that over the last few decades has generated 5 of history's deadliest tsunamis. The ocean's deepest point lies at the epicenter of a tsunami trigger zone, the Java Trench, where 2 giant plates in the Earth's crust collide. A crucial part of Victor's mission will be to search for evidence on the seafloor of what is causing the tsunamis.
The more data we have from the deep oceans, the better our models could be to predict these things. No one, and I mean no one, has ever been near the bottom of this trench or even explored it. We don't know what's down there.
At over 23,000 feet deep, the pressure will be immense. Any ordinary sub would simply implode. So Victor has commissioned a pioneering new design.
Go ahead and jack it up.
Roger.
Its secret strength lies at its core. The cockpit is a ball of 3.5-inch thick titanium. If this wasn't a perfect sphere, it could crumple like a tin can. Inside, a rack of oxygen tanks provides up to 96 hours of emergency life support.
If someone needs to go down to the bottom of the ocean, the submarine's it. It's now the deepest diving submersible in the world. In fact, it's actually the deepest diving vehicle, period.
You know, I think the submersible is the most significant vehicle since Apollo 11. This is a vehicle that will allow us to explore the last frontier on Earth.
But if something serious goes wrong at full ocean depth, there's no hope of rescue.
It's the only thing in the world right now that can go below 7,000 meters. Not even a remotely piloted vehicle can do that.
We're getting the tow line off first.
And the sub is still very much a prototype.
There you go.
In the first 2 ocean dives, the sub team faced a massive learning curve.
Surface is to our left. We have leaking hatch. There's a reason why nobody's done this before. It's not easy. It's going to an extreme environment. There's no rescue plan. This has to come back. It has to work. Up on the main! Whoa, 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 whoa!
It's sort of testing by braking.
Back on the tagline. Boy, we're doing it.
And there's always a lot of heartache in that process, because for every 2 steps you take forward, you've got to come back and relearn one of them.
What am I supposed to do?
It can take up to 30 or even 40 dives with a brand new submersible, especially one designed with these extreme features to get it to where things are working well.
Okay, you guys ready? Roger, go ahead.
Even if the sub is fully operational, the team face a major hazard of the Indian Ocean. It's tropical cyclone season.
The sea temperature here at the moment is about 31 degrees Celsius, which is extremely warm, and warm water is the fuel of cyclones.
The pressure is on to complete the mission before a cyclone forces them to seek shelter. First, the team need to use their high-resolution sonar scanner to map the uncharted depths of the Java Trench and pinpoint the precise location of the deepest point of the Indian Ocean.
It's one of the most advanced sonars in the world. It's actually kind of military grade, and it has the capability to acoustically survey the bottom of the ocean all the way to full ocean depth and map it.
The early scans are already revealing crucial new evidence to help a key mission of this expedition: the search for the causes of the deadly Indian Ocean tsunamis.
In that northern wall, we've found at least 14 slope failures. Some of those are 4 or 5 kilometers wide, where big chunks essentially just come loose during earthquakes and just slump to the seafloor, and they can be responsible for tsunamis.
Monster landslides like these displace vast amounts of water that on the surface turn into devastating tsunamis. The scans have also revealed a near vertical cliff that may be the site of the next catastrophic collapse.
What we need to do is actually go down and get some eyes on that and try and find out whether these areas are about to fall, or if we've got areas that fell a long time ago and the whole area is actually quite stable.
The team decide to add to their mission a research dive down to this cliff.
The sonar has identified a key geological feature which otherwise would not have been found, and you have the tool to go and dive on it.
Now this is great. This is what we're here for, is
Yeah.
to find things like this.
It's a one-off opportunity to explore the dark secrets of the Indian Ocean, but it will be the first time the sub has had to navigate so close to a potentially hazardous rock face.
It's kind of hard to get a sense of angle when you're down there because your field of view is only about 10 or 15 meters.
Victor decides to put at the sub's helm the most experienced sub pilot on board and the builder of the sub itself, Patrick Lahey.
Okay, so you go down and you'll try and find the wall first.
You know, we should have a plan and stick to that plan.
The priority is just get a lovely, beautiful video up that slope.
Chief Scientist Alan Jameson will join Patrick to guide the search.
All right, see you guys. Hat secured.
Okay, LF, summer's clear, you're clear to dive.
Roger that, Kelvin. I got a green board. We're away.
Two and a half hours after leaving the surface and over 22,000 feet down, finally, their target comes into view.
Whoa. There's the wall.
Oh, all right, we've got some rocks. A lot of boulders.
We're just going to take it easy here now.
The cliff towers over 600 feet above them. Patrick will need to be extremely careful. A sudden rockfall could put the sub in serious danger. And down here, there's no other submersible in the world that can come to the rescue.
Wow, it's steep. I have to give it a little bit vertical up there, buddy. Oh, excuse me, look at that. Big boulder to my right there.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. We need to back off. This is a massive underhang. Back off. Watch yourself, watch yourself. Go up, go up, go up, go up, go up.
Scientist Alan and sub-builder Patrick are diving into an active geological fault line where no one has been before.
Watch yourself, watch yourself.
I'm backing away, man.
They are seizing a unique opportunity to investigate the origins of deadly Indian Ocean tsunamis triggered by massive underwater landslides. Could this precarious wall be the next disaster waiting to happen?
Those are big chunks of, looks like volcanic rock, right?
Yeah.
We see these black rocks, and these are rocks that were once molten and they've cooled down, and they're black because they've cooled down really quickly, so they've been erupted onto the seafloor.
I'll just creep up the wall here. It's going to bring us in closer.
For look how precarious this rock is. This is a great big tower, this. As you can see from that, it's not going to take much of a rumble for that to collapse.
A landslide here, and the sub could be buried under a cascade of rocks and sediment.
Whoa, what the hell was that?
LF, could you send me a status update? LF, could you repeat your last?
I'm backing off. Oh. Wow.
Look at the colours of the rocks. Stunning.
Something that I wasn't expecting are these multicoloured areas of what look to be bacterial mats. Bright whites, oranges, there's even some blues in there. Really spectacular colours. These are bacteria living off the fluid that is coming out of the seafloor.
It is an extraordinary form of life, feeding on the seabed itself. And it's the first time anyone has seen it at such enormous depths in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, starting to flatten out.
The mission has given the expedition a remarkable insight into one of the most volatile geological hotspots in the world.
Actually getting eyes on the seabed and looking at some of these mass movements and the block failures, we can start to piece together with a bit more certainty the different processes going on in the Java Trench. Some of these are related to potential tsunamis in the future or indeed in the past.
We've done our job, right? We've found the wall.
Surface, LF, present depth at the top of the wall.
Excellent.
So happy for him.
Surface, LF, requesting permission to leave bottom. Roger that. Releasing surfacing weight now. There we go.
Despite a few scratches to the sub's outer housing, the dive has been a huge success.
Coming down, come down.
But as well as studying the geology of the trench, Chief Scientist Alan Jameson is also eager to explore, for the very first time, what life forms have adapted to live in its crushing depths.
The Indian Ocean is kind of renowned for having never really been properly studied, and that's the same for the shallow water, never mind the very, very deep water.
A set of underwater probes known as landers, packed with technology, will use baited cameras to film life on the seabed. The target is in an area near the bottom of the Java Trench. But first, the probes must pass through ever deeper layers of the Indian Ocean, where remarkable creatures find their home. From the sunlight zone, where sunfish the size of pickup trucks bask on the surface, and dugong, distant relations of the elephant, graze on seagrass, to the twilight zone, where monstrous six-gill sharks, unchanged from the time of the dinosaurs, lurk during the day, surfacing to hunt by night. And where leatherback turtles, the deepest diving reptiles on the planet, come hunting for jellyfish. Their flexible shells and collapsible lungs make them perfectly adapted to survive the crushing pressures. Deeper still, into the midnight zone, where vampire squid use their cape-like folds, lined with tiny spines, to protect themselves against attack by deep-diving predatory fish. And slender snipe eels use microscopic hooked teeth on their beak-like jaws to snare shrimp. Finally, the scientific probes reach the very deepest zone of the Indian Ocean, the Hadal Zone. Now, their cameras are the very first in history to film in this inhospitable landscape, and they capture rare footage of an elusive deep ocean hunter.
Nobody really knows anything about them. Their common name is assfish and robustus.
Not a great name.
Not a great name. If you look at it, it's got its double nostril here. So it's got massive nostrils. So it doesn't care about the bait. What it knows is where it can smell bait, there's going to be an accumulation of amphipods. So it just turns up and just picks them off.
Once a crowd of the shrimp-like scavengers arrive, it's dinner time. Then, from one of the darkest, most remote parts of the planet, comes the rarest of creatures, a Dumbo octopus. Remarkably, it's the deepest octopus ever filmed, by almost 6,000 feet. Its tentacles are joined together by a web of skin to form an umbrella-like body. And the huge ear-like fins that give the Dumbo its name help to make it an extremely agile swimmer. It's waiting for the bait to lure its favorite meal. An unsuspecting deep-sea crustacean is moving across the seabed. In such a pitch-black home, the Dumbo's eyes are virtually sightless. Instead, it uses sensors in its tentacles to pinpoint its prey.
Quite often what octopus do is they'll sit on top of a crustacean and they'll bore a hole through it at the back of its shell, and they'll inject it with saliva, and it dissolves the shrimp, for example, from the inside and then sucks it out.
That's disgusting.
Nice.
The probes have brought back remarkable images from the deep. And now the scanning team have dramatic news for the expedition of Victor's ultimate target.
This tiny sinkhole is the deepest point in the Indian Ocean.
It will be the most challenging of the deeps yet attempted.
We're going to drop right into it, almost like trying to drop a marble into a bucket 50 meters down.
My highest priority is getting you safely back on board.
The scanning team have finished mapping the previously uncharted reaches of the Java Trench. It is a critical moment in the mission because the trench might not hold the deepest point in the Indian Ocean after all. The team now need to compare the data with a rival candidate scanned on their way, a fracture zone off the coast of Australia called Diamantina.
This yellow dot right here is the deepest point within this big basin of Diamantina fracture zone at 7,019 meters.
If the Java Trench turns out to be shallower, then the expedition is 1,000 miles off course.
We continue to learn new things. I think Cassie and her team understated what they've done, but we have solved the mystery that has always been around, which is what is the deepest point in the Indian Ocean? Until this week, no one could definitively answer that question. In fact, there was a big debate whether it was the Diamantina or the Java Trench. Well, it is the Java Trench. It's not just the Java Trench, it's in a place no one thought it was. It's in the center of it, not the east or the west.
But to reach this deepest point will be a massive navigational challenge.
In the middle of the Java Trench is this tiny sinkhole that we actually have determined to be the deepest point in the Indian Ocean. And Victor is diving that.
We're going to drop right into it, almost like trying to drop a marble into a bucket 50 meters down. This one you could actually miss.
If the team get their calculations wrong, Victor will be navigating a dangerously rocky landscape with the risk of a damaging collision.
Coming up easy.
To help Victor find his way, the team drop one of their robotic probes directly above the deepest point. It has an onboard modem to communicate with the ship and the sub. Victor will then have to find the probe to reach the deepest point. Normally, 2 other probes are also launched to other sites on the seabed to help calculate Victor's exact position. On this dive, the team are gambling that Victor can navigate alone.
We don't have a vast open plain down there. We thought we would put the lander directly over top of the target, but you directly on the target.
Without the 3 landers to triangulate, we won't be able to guide him to the actual position, so it is a little bit riskier. If he sees the lander, then he's at the deepest point.
With the probe now signaling from the seabed, the team need to launch Victor as quickly as they can. The tropical cyclone seen brewing on the horizon is now gathering strength and threatening to end the multi-million-dollar expedition before Victor has had a chance to complete his dive.
So it's a large storm system. It's about 300 miles across. It's generating this huge vortex, this cyclone, running at about 65 knots, maybe 75 knots, and waves of 6 to 8 meters. And we are just up in this area. There's an element of chance in all of this because it depends on where the cyclone is drawing its fuel from as to where it'll head.
We can't dally too long here and could make life a little bit difficult for us.
Here in the tropics, we can usually find somewhere to hide, but of course they'll rob us of any chance to do a dive.
The nightmare scenario for me is the weather picks up very quickly, very late, and then we have trouble recovering it.
If Victor is going to become the first person to touch down at the deepest point in the Indian Ocean, the team need to get him launched as quickly as possible.
Okay, Victor, ready for you.
Guys, grab that. Grab that.
This is DLF. Life support is on and good. I have a green board. I am good to launch.
Roger.
Swimmer is clear. You are clear to dive.
Swimmer is clear. Enabling thrusters.
And he's gone.
You done.
All right, we are descending. Seems a little slower than it did in Southern Ocean, 16 meters per minute. That's pretty slow. This could take a while to get down.
Present depth, 849 meters.
Well, that's awfully slow, isn't it?
It's 0.7. So 0.7 meters a second is 42 meters a minute.
And he went 400 meters in 15 minutes. That does seem slow.
Oh, wow. Roger, 1077. He's going real slow.
Well, something's not right.
With a mission-critical cyclone building over the horizon, Victor's attempt to be the first person in history to visit the deepest point of the Indian Ocean is in serious danger of unraveling.
He's going real slow. Something's wrong.
The sub is dragged down through the water by a set of steel weights held in place by 2 electromagnets. The weights need to be heavy enough to override the specialist buoyant foam blocks that will ultimately pull the sub back to the surface.
I can only assume that something's dropped off. It's the only thing it can be.
I suspect that one of the magnets has failed. Which was the one that had a little bit of corrosion on it?
It was the aft one. I cleaned that all up this morning.
So, we're just burning daylight.
Be halfway there in 2 hours. This could take 4 hours.
Patrick, as mission control chief, now has a difficult call to make. To risk a lengthy dive, or pull the plug, get the sub back on the surface, and hope there's time for a second attempt before the cyclone hits.
I am still in descent. Could make bottom. Could make bottom.
Roger that. Victor, I'm recommending an abort. I do not believe you can reach the bottom
Understand you suggest abort.
Pretty disappointed.
Go, Bridge.
Okay, Stu, be advised, he's been given clearance to surface. ETA is just a couple minutes.
Bridge, copy.
Roger that.
Let's roll.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
The pressure is on to get the sub fixed quick and make a second dive.
Pissing that oil from that clamp, so twisted.
I got some little cutter stakes.
It's a complex system. There are many, many elements, whether it's the ballast system or whether it's the communication system.
Okay, you guys ready?
I don't know what's going on here.
There are so many things that have to work just right for this ballet to come off without a hitch.
But in boiling temperatures pushing 84 degrees Fahrenheit, the sub-engineering team are nearing breaking point.
Okay, I'm going as fast as I can.
There is a lot of stress on people to get everything right.
Oh, Frank, turn it off.
Had enough, man. Ready to go home.
Hang on just a second. You got a hose trapped in there.
I think people are learning, kind of what they have to do and how much attention to detail they have to make it all work right.
While the engineering crew work overnight to fix the sub, the scanning team have found stunning new data in the trench, revealing a second explanation for the devastating Indian Ocean tsunamis.
So that's one there, right?
Yeah, I think it's a faulted seamount.
A series of massive hills on the trench floor, extinct volcanoes known as seamounts that act like ticking time bombs.
We've identified a number of seamounts that are in the process of being consumed in the trench axis of the Java Trench.
The trench lies along a volatile seam in the Earth's crust where two giant plates collide. Monumental forces are grinding one plate down under the other, and the seamounts are in the way.
But that area there does look like that's created by the seamount being subducted under the plate. You can see how it's pushing there and then the energy is crushing the seamount itself. The areas around the seamount, it's subducting very, very slowly, and it's stopped because the seamount has actually physically stopped the subduction process.
A massive underwater volcano became a doorstop.
Yeah.
They can cause a sticking point, and then ultimately there may be a major earthquake or slip related to that sticking point and the pressure that is built up over time suddenly being released.
A violent earthquake caused by one of these seamounts could in turn trigger a devastating tsunami, affecting the millions of people who live along the ocean's coastline. If Victor can reach the bottom of the trench, he could gather further crucial data to help predict earthquakes and tsunamis of the future.
The topography of this area, the Java Trench, has surprised us a bit because we're seeing what I would call sharp features, things that seem to come out of nowhere with some pretty steep drops or some pretty strong rises. So it seems to be a pretty active area seismologically.
But after working overnight to solve the weight release issue, the engineering team have been hit by another mission-critical fault.
There was a little pump that wasn't running, and that's the for when you come back to the surface, pumping in water out, give you some buoyancy, and when you leave, it'll helps you go down.
Constantly trying to keep a running tab of everything so that nothing goes missed, because I'm very tired. We're all very tired. Oh, it just went, come up.
Can they fix the new problem before the cyclone ends the expedition?
All right, Tom, you got a red light now that we didn't have earlier. Oh, we get this done, we can get out of this forsaken place.
The engineering team are under pressure to turn the sub around for a second attempt on the deepest point of the Indian Ocean.
So yeah, it's fixed. Yeah, problem solved.
At last, the sub gets the all clear.
Biggest trick was trying to figure out what went wrong, but we worked it out. Throwing her back together.
Good timing.
Roll her in.
And spanking new.
The team release a first underwater probe, codenamed SCAF, to drop to the deepest point of a narrow sinkhole and act as Victor's target.
It's good to go.
They also drop a second probe a mile away, outside the sinkhole, to gather additional data.
Okay, Victor, ready for you.
She'll see you on the other side. See you on the other side, Tim. Thanks, man.
All stop, here we go.
Getting the tow line off first.
Excellent detachment, gentlemen.
Okay, here we go.
With the threat of a tropical cyclone hanging over the expedition, this could be Victor's best chance to complete his mission and gather fresh evidence from the ocean's deadly tsunami trigger zone.
Looks like we've got a nice descent rate going.
These are places that since the dawn of time, no one's been there. I'm getting to see it for the first time.
It's now been nearly 3 hours since Victor left the surface.
If we've dropped him in the right spot, you know, he should be pretty close to right over the target site.
All stations, be advised, coming up to the quarter-hour comms check. We do expect Victor is approaching the bottom.
I can see the bottom of my display, 20 meters to go. Sea floor starting to come into view. Coming very clearly into view now. Brown and spackled, looks like a desert floor. Wow. Surface, LF, at bottom.
At bottom.
Roger, LF, understand, on the bottom.
That was a lot of hard work.
Victor may be on the sea floor, but to reach the deepest point of the Indian Ocean, he must find SCAF, the underwater probe the team have dropped as his target.
Okay, Scaffy, where are you?
Even at this extreme depth, in the pitch dark and crushing pressures, there is life at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Amid a network of animal tracks, a sea pig, which can inflate its body with water to float from the sea floor like a balloon. A purple sea cucumber, munching its way through the sediment in search of nutrients. And one of its swimming cousins, drifting through the sub's lights. Victor can communicate with the probe to find out how far away it is, but not its direction.
Okay, when I went south, it got a little closer. West a little further.
Without the two other probes to help triangulate his position, Victor's task will be far from easy.
There's a current down here. I'm being pushed about a meter. Come on. What is that all about? Come on, LF. It's like trying to find the Agena docking component of the Gemini mission. I swear it feels just like that. Okay, nothing on sonar. It's further away. Surface, bearing, please, to SCAF.
He just transmitted. He was saying something. Is that sound?
If Victor doesn't locate the target probe, he will fail to complete his record attempt to reach the deepest point of the Indian Ocean.
Where are you, SCAF?
And after a near 3-hour descent and over 2 hours already spent searching, time is running out. Victor Vescovo is over 23,000 feet underwater in a sinkhole, searching for the deepest point of the entire Indian Ocean. To keep his global deep ocean mission on track, he must hunt for a target probe dropped in advance of his dive. But now he has lost communication with the expedition ship above. There's no one to guide him home.
Surface, surface. Present depth, 7, 3, 4, 5.
Say again, because we may be on this shelf here.
It seems the steep walls of the sinkhole are blocking Victor's signal.
I'd like to relocate pressure drop to establish comms back over the op area.
Okay, Captain, we want to get the modem up and reposition right away.
Yeah, bridge copy.
Motor's in the water.
Surface, LF.
Present depth, 7, 3, 3, 9.
You can breathe out now.
Roger, LF. We have you loud and clear.
Should be dead ahead. I see you, buddy. Oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna sit down right next to you, Scaff. How about that? Touchdown. Bottom of the Indian Ocean. Bottom of the Java Trench, first time in history. Pretty cool. Surface, LF. Present depth, 7, 3, 4, 2 meters. At Scaff. Repeat, at Scaff.
Understand, you found a spot deeper than before. Congratulations.
The underwater probe is teeming with life. Thousands of tiny crustaceans called amphipods are feasting on the bait. These are the supreme scavengers of the seabed. And arriving to join the feeding frenzy is an overblown cousin known as a supergiant. Its body has evolved to be large enough to discourage voracious predators. Then an unidentified, luminous, jelly-like creature comes tantalizingly close, casting an ominous shadow. But the second probe, positioned a mile from the deep sinkhole and 2,000 feet higher up, is filming an even more mysterious creature of the deep, one that has never been seen by human eyes before. With a bulbous, gelatinous head, and trailing a long strand with what looks like a weight on the end. This is an entirely unknown species of creature known as a sea squirt. Only further study and sightings could reveal the secrets of its bizarre body.
Request permission to ascend.
Victor has now completed the third dive of his epic 5 Deeps mission, helping to unravel the mysteries of tsunamis that have devastated the Indian Ocean, and to achieve new insights into life on the extreme edge of our planet.
We have a visual. Welcome back, sir. We have you loud and clear. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Three down.
Seeing those creatures, seeing the Dumbo at that depth, and seeing this creature.
I've never seen anything like that. That's the weirdest thing I've ever filmed.
We're going to show people that there is a lot down here that we know nothing about.